Hello there, we are live from our studios here in Kokomlimle. Our digital address GA0992539. It's your home of fearless, credible and independent journalism. Our lead stories this hour. Security on high alert, especially in Upper East, as threats of possible attacks from neighboring Burkina Faso soar. We hear from the chairman of the Regional Security Council. Place this conversation in the bigger context of security nationwide as the Inspector General of Police also responds to critics calling for his resignation following a surge in violent crimes, including broad daylight robberies. Defense Minister Dominic Nitiwo justifies government's decision to hire an aircraft for the president's latest foreign trip, insisting using the presidential jet would not be a good idea. He says although the Falcon is newsworthy, it is not okay for long trips. We'll be hearing from him shortly. Also coming up, government releases what it calls fresh scientific data as it shares optimism about receipt of vaccines soon. We hear why government is confident that its COVID-19 vaccination program remains on track. Also, irrespective of the controversies and shortage of vaccines. Also, mine workers of Global Resources demonstrates demanding details of new ownership of the Golden Star mines. We hear the demonstrators and the authorities at the mines. The Pulse is brought to you by Global Communities Dignilu Affordable Safe Sanitation. Join us on DSTV 421, GoTV 144. We're streaming on YouTube and on our social media handles. My name is Gifty Ando Apia. This is The Pulse. Please be my guest. Let's begin with COVID-19. Our government says it is confident its COVID-19 vaccination program remains on track due to fresh scientific data and expectations of receiving vaccines by mid-July. There are currently thousands of citizens yet to be vaccinated and many others who have not received even a single dose. The nation intends to vaccinate 20 million citizens by end of this year, but it has so far not even reached the million mark for persons who have received at least a first jab. Listen to Health Minister Kwekwaji Maimenu give an update on the vaccination program.
Government intends to vaccinate a total of 20 million citizens by end of year. The nation is currently inching closer to a million.
Vaccination. So far, we have actually vaccinated 852,047 persons who have had the first dose of vaccination. Then we have another 379,156 people who have so far also received their second jabs out of the 381,000 targeted. We're looking to do 381,000 based on the doses of vaccines that we had, despite the fact that our first jabs went round to 852,000. So here we achieved 98.something% target when we started doing the second dose for AstraZeneca.
The health minister says persons who are yet to receive the second dose should not be worried.
Those of us who have not had our second dose yet, there is a lot of hope. We have indications that is giving us hope for the very near future. We are expecting vaccines from the US. We've got a promise from the UK to try to help us get our second dose go through very quickly. The numbers are just about what will give us the gap that we have with the second dose. The exact date that is coming, we don't know, but we anticipate this late June, early July, these things will happen.
He further revealed the nation is still pursuing local options for the production of COVID-19 vaccines.
The government has set up a committee for vaccine production, chaired by the Minister for Environment and Science. They have also done a lot of work. Committee members are paid from the scientific world, some in the ministry and other scientific institutions. They are working very fast. They have even visited and they are partnering with private sector companies that were originally also preparing to produce some semblance of vaccines in our country. It looks like 3 of such facilities have been picked up, and they are liaising with the international community to see how they can start working. Their strategy is to try to do what they call filling and packing first, and then the science community will also take some time to start developing vaccines in our country. So that area is also seriously being considered, and we are actually on course in that direction.
Government says it is hesitating in executing its commitments in the agreement with middlemen for supply of COVID-19 vaccines due to the failure of these businessmen to also meet supply timelines.
The LC that we did, we are still waiting. The schedules that we have in the agreement becomes effective. The agreement becomes effective after ordering and issuing letters of credit. Because they haven't been able to supply us even with the first 300,000, we have to hesitate a little bit to make sure that they are going to perform before we do the next LC. The Russian agreements are about similar. So the second one we even did, we're only hesitating to see if the first one can actually bring before we go ahead to try to do the LC for the second one. Whatever it is, we may have to procure. And so far as we are getting bilateral engagements to do, we wouldn't have options than to continue to engage middlemen to some limited extent.
Citizens are reminded to stick to the COVID-19 protocols of regular hand washing, social distancing, and wearing of face masks.
Taking a very quick look at the COVID details and what it says about Ghana's numbers so far is reduced drastically. But that is not the same. That is not the case in the UK. In that country, Delta variant-driven cases continue to rise, and it's prompting the government in the UK to extend social distancing rules for another month. Elsewhere in Europe, some countries are moving faster than others to loosen their restrictions and reopening their borders, if that will happen anytime soon. So what are the reasons behind the prolonged restrictions, for example, in the United Kingdom, and how have the people reacted to the announcement? I'm joined by Emmanuel Chase, who is correspondent with our partners DW, joining me from Berlin. Emmanuel, let's go with the first question. Why is this happening in the UK, and how have people reacted to the announcement?
Well, June 21st was supposed to be the last day of social distancing and restrictions in the UK, and past that date, well, restaurants, venues, nightclubs would have reopened, but in light of the surge of infections, which are largely due to the Delta variant, well, Prime Minister Boris Johnson said that another month was necessary before easing those restrictions and going back to normal. Now, the initial date for the loosening of those restrictions was made back in February, and since the beginning of June, there's been a renewed increase of new daily cases that prompted that decision.
And where does that leave other EU countries?
Yes, elsewhere in Europe, restrictions have been loosened. In Denmark, the mandatory mask rule has been lifted, except for public transports. In France, France still has a curfew at 11 p.m., but police has been instructed to be tolerant when there's big events such as a Euro game, like between France and Germany this week. Here in Germany, the restrictions have also been loosened, with fitness studios, restaurants able to reopen, as well as stadiums. In Greece, the tourism industry has reopened, with a curfew pushed back to 1:30 a.m. And Italy, which was one of the worst affected countries in Europe for the pandemic, lifting its curfew in 13 regions. And all across Europe, travel restrictions are being loosened, with different strategies in each country, but one common line: an EU digital COVID passport will facilitate travel for those fully vaccinated or recovered from the coronavirus.
Emmanuel Chase, before you go, Germany has registered its lowest new daily coronavirus infections in nearly 9 months. What's behind that?
Germany, the 7-day incidence rate has sunk to around 13 per 100,000 inhabitants. That's the lowest in months for Germany, and roughly half of the population now got at least one shot of the vaccine, with over a quarter of the people here in Germany being fully vaccinated. So for Health Minister Jens Spahn, this is now the time to ease some of the restrictions. For example, time to consider lifting the masks requirement outside and even inside in those of the regions where the incidence rate is very low. However, German Chancellor Angela Merkel also warned that the virus hasn't disappeared and that people should still proceed with caution as there are new variants around and as the race to vaccinate is still very much on. She did say, though, that all the efforts made in the past months have paid off.
So it is certainly a global problem that we keep dealing with, and we seem to be doing better. Emmanuel Chase, thank you. Emmanuel is with our partners, DW. She's a correspondent. Let's take a look at our numbers right now, which certainly is much more encouraging. The new cases remain 69 or stands at 69. And of course, the active cases are at 8,218. So far, we know that over 700 people have died. It's risen to 790. So we still ought to continue observing the protocols and taking care of ourselves. You're still watching The Pulse with me, Gifty and Ope. We want to zoom into security, of course, the big story. We talk about security in Accra, we talk about security in the Upper East region, and we talk about security in the Ashanti region. I'm going to start from here in the capital. Well, as the country struggles to find answers to the recent spate of robberies in the country, a retired police officer says most personnel are ill-prepared to deal with the security challenge that's facing the country. Peter Lanchene Tobu, who is a member of Parliament for Wa West, was once Executive Secretary to former Inspector General of Police David Asante Apietu. Mr. Tobu says politicians are using the police as dumping grounds for unqualified persons, and that's brewing officers who are unqualified and unmotivated to work. For him, the police service has lost an opportunity at true transformation, a project that the service started previously under David Asante Apietu. Mr. Tobu has been reacting to the robbery incident involving a bullion van at Adedengpo, a suburb of Jamestown here in Accra, which left a police officer and another civilian dead. He's not the only one who's been talking about it. We'll hear the others. Let's start with Mr. Peter Tobu.
About the IGP. It's about the fact that the system is old. We need to reform it. Yes, we need to reform the system. And he brought, I was just the executive secretary, a small boy.
That's one of his former bosses. Yes. He actually served the
Exactly. So he brought what we call the police transformation agenda. The few questions that we're asking, just go to town and ask, is crime going down? The people say no. Are you happy with the police? The people say no. Do the police respond in time when you call on them? The people say no. Do you trust the police? The people say no. And if all these answers are no, go back to the police. Are you happy yourself as a police officer? You say no. Is your welfare the best that you think of? You say no. If all these answers are no, the simple solution is that we need reforms. So he introduced what we call the police transformation agenda. People didn't get it. It was a long-time project that was supposed to transform the Ghana Police Service into a democratically nurtured police organization capable of carrying this country to another level. But we didn't get it. We didn't get that support. Today, we are back to zero. And all these things that are happening, my brother, motorbikes-related crimes. There was something we introduced we call rovers. We observed that we need to use motorbikes to respond to motorbike. And the police motorbike should be more robust. And these people, if you have two people sitting on a police motorbike, fully dressed with their ballistic helmet and flak jacket, they can chase these people. As they fire, they will fire back. They can chase and fire. And at the end of the day, you can ride your motorbike and go and commit crime. Because of CCTVs in the system and connected to the emergency command center, look, we will generate an information that gradually you find about 10 sets of different motorbikes from the police getting into a particular zone, and wherever you pass, you will meet them, and you can't escape. Right. And that is gradually where we're going.
That is gradually where we're going. Peter Lanchene Tobu there. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police, James Opon-Bueno, has come under criticism for what is perceived to be the poor state of security in the country, with some actually calling for his resignation and for police personnel to be properly protected before they're sent out to protect others. We'll be hearing the IGP's response to some of these concerns that have been raised shortly. But former Chairman of Parliament's Defence and Interior Committee, Collins Owusu-Amankwa says it is premature to call for the resignation of the Inspector General of Police, even in the face of what people are calling heightened sense of insecurity.
I think those calling on his head is too premature to start with, because from where I sit, and I think he's doing his best to enhance public safety. He needs our support. Let the system also support him. He's an individual. But there's this commission. I think they should leave that to the needed expectation. The Ghana National Commission on Small Arms and Light Weapons. Yes, the executive director, the secretary there must be up and doing. They need to sensitize the public in terms of possession of illicit firearms. Okay.
Collins Owusu-Amankwa is former chairman of Parliament Select Committee on Defence and Interior, speaking earlier to Benjamin Akakpo on the AM show. So how well is the police protected when they go out to protect you and I? We've been talking to the IGP, who has been telling my colleague Manuel Kranting about what the police service is doing to ensure that the servicemen are safe themselves.
Let me assure you that we are not just sitting down. We have had a series of meetings with the banks and the companies that deal with cash. We call them cash in transit vehicle companies. And just before I came here, I had a meeting with the governor of the Bank of Ghana, as well as the members of the executive members of the Association of Bankers of Ghana. And these are issues that we discussed. And from now on, let's say from 30th of this month, any bank or any company that does not have a bulletproof, a bullion van, we are not going to provide any service for that company. So in actual fact, we are actually doing what we can to protect the people of Ghana. There's no society in the world where there's no crime. Even in the US, in the UK, Sweden, and all those countries where I would say they more or less have everything, they still have crime. The only place that doesn't have crime is heaven, and we are not in heaven.
IGP James Opon-Bueno there. Well, regarding cause for him to resign, he's also been responding to that in that conversation with my colleague Manuel Kranting. Let's hear the IGP on cause for him to resign.
Anybody who says that doesn't know what he's saying. You understand? Every society has its own issues, has its own crimes. Whoever says that we are out of touch with the system or with the society is not studying the topography of the West African sub-region as of now. Anybody or any security analysis worth the salt will know that the West African sub-region is currently experiencing a high wave of crime in all the countries. If you compare all the countries, there's a high wave of crime. It doesn't mean that we should fold our arms and say that we'll not do anything. We are definitely doing what we can to protect Ghanaians. We'll go to whatever extent to ensure that whoever is behind this is brought to book. We will ensure that criminals do not have fulfilled the body cams do not prevent in themselves, do not prevent the shooting of police officers, but they help in the investigation, they help in the prevention of further crimes. But having said that, we have somebody, fragmentation jackets, because people refer to them as bulletproof, but they are not bulletproof. They are fragmentation jackets, and we have a couple, yes. And depending on the circumstances, we issue them out to our officers. We are investigating, as I indicated, and that is part of the investigation as to why an officer on duty was not wearing a bulletproof vest. We are actually doing what we can to protect the people of Ghana. There's no society in the world where there's no crime. Even in the US, in the UK, Sweden, and all those countries where
IGP Opon-Bueno there speaking on people responding to calls that he resigns. Well, that's about security here in the Greater Accra region. I want to take you to the Ashanti region. Of course, the IGP has oversight over all of these areas as police chief. But let's tell you the situation there. 2 people have been arrested in connection with the broad daylight robbery of mobile money shops at Bantama and Wokrom Estate Junction in Kumasi. The residents were shocked when gun-wielding robbers on motorbikes brazenly struck at the two shops in the full public glare during rush hours in April and June, respectively. The Ashanti Regional Police Command says 2 suspects have been arrested after they were captured in CCTV footages. Parliamentary of our security desk has more in this report.
3 robbers armed with foreign pistols stunned residents of Bantama when they robbed workers in a mobile money shop after taking them hostage at about 7 p.m. The robbers are seen ordering shop attendants at gunpoint to pack CD notes into plastic bags in an operation which lasted about 2 minutes. In less than 2 weeks, another robbery incident in a similar fashion was recorded at Wokrom Estate Junction. A staff of that financial institution, identified as Collins Dapa, sustained gunshot wounds and has been undergoing treatment. Police Public Relations Officer ASP Godwin Ahianyo tells JoyNews 2 of the suspected robbers have been arrested.
Bantama robbery incident and that of Wokrom, they are very similar. So it tells you that it is this very syndicate who perpetrated that crime. As we speak, arrests have been made. Some persons have been arrested. In both cases, we had video footages via CCTV cameras. We've been able to identify some persons, but because we have not come out to tell the general public that this is what we have done, people think these cases are unresolved. But I can tell you on authority that the police have made arrests. We are in touch with the Greater Accra region. The suspects are with the Accra Regional Command. They are investigating them in other related cases. The very last one that we're talking about here was also perpetrated by the same people, because in the CCTV footage, we've identified one person who was involved in the earlier 2 cases. So it tells you that this syndicate who are into that kind of crime, 2 of them have been arrested. We are looking for other persons, and I'm sure we are going to use those 2 to get the others.
The development, coupled with some violent incidents recorded in other parts of the region, threaten the security of the people. But police do not want residents to panic. ASP Ahianyo announced measures to ensure the safety of residents as it focuses more on preventive policing.
We are preventing. Let us know that it is a society in which we are. Even in advanced country, crimes are committed. So we wouldn't say that because we are preventing crime, crime wouldn't happen. It will definitely happen. Why do you go on patrols? It's part of our preventive measures. We have the rovers who ride on motorbikes. It's a preventive measure. We have the visibility patrol who are also in town during the day. It's a preventive measure. We have our detectives who are in town to detect crime. It's a preventive measure. So the preventive measures are already in place. You understand me? But definitely, you should know that it is not going to be a situation where we are going to have a crime-free society entirely. No, definitely 1 or 2 cases will be recorded. And when they are recorded, what do? We have to investigate it, get to the perpetrators, and let them face the full rigors of the law.
From Kumasi, for JoyNews, Parliamentary reporting.
And Ohimeng is joining me from Kumasi, so we have a little chat about this a bit longer. Ohimeng, this looks like a break for the police. Kind care to see the CCTV camera that has helped them to arrest these people. But let's start this conversation with the very latest on this. What has happened as far as this case so far?
Yes, thank you, Gifty. The police in the Ashanti region, with their support of their counterparts in the Greater Accra region, did collaborate to get this breakthrough leading to the arrest of these two suspects. And as already said, with the support of the CCTV footage, they managed to identify some of the suspects in the two visuals, and that is what aided them. So for police, it has come as more of relief because that was the first time in the history of the region where people, would be that brave to carry out robbery activities in an area where a lot of people will be around. Talking about Bantama and then Bokum Estate Junction. Residents since then have been panicking, expressing concerns about their security in the region. But police, immediately after the incident, assured that they would do everything within their powers to bring the perpetrators to book. The unfortunate incident is that the gentleman who was shot in the Bokum Estate robbery incident, Wanda has already passed away. We are told he died of gunshot wounds whilst receiving treatment at the Parliamentary teaching hospital some days after the incident. We've been trying to speak to the family members, but they believe that, yes, they are mourning the departure of their relative, so they should be given some privacy as far as this story is concerned. So I must say it has come as a relief to the police, but police until yesterday when we spoke to them has kept this information to their chest. It's something that residents have already expressed concerns about, that is always important for police to alert the public, to put the public in the know, whatever activity, whatever information that they have, especially on some of the operations and then activities they themselves have been taking, so that they'll be rest assured that when they are attacked and when they come under attack by these criminals, definitely police is already in the lead to work on it.
I want to ask a question about whether or not the release of this information by the police now gives the people some relief. But I want us to talk a little bit about the videos, the CCTV footage. In which of the videos we are seeing now is the Bokum Estate robbery in which someone has died?
Yes, what we are seeing on TV is the incident at Bantama. So the Bokum CCTV footage was actually drawn from national security. For some time now, national security has, installed some CCTV cameras in town, and that is the one that aided with the investigations at Bokum. But the Bantama one is actually a private camera installed by a businessman in the course of his operations. So police compared the two visuals and identified some of the suspects in these two videos. So what it means is that it's a syndicate that has been operating in the region, and it's not only in the Ashanti region that they do operate. They've also extended their operations to Greater Accra region, and that is why police in Greater Accra region arrested them. So because of their nefarious activities, that they have also been involved in other activities, now the Greater Accra Regional Police Command is investigating these suspects. So until they are done with their investigations, before they can be released to their counterparts in the Ashanti region. So the visuals from the CCTV, camera is actually the one at Bantama, where the robbers came in a way to transact business, and then whilst they managed to do recce and then attack the operators of the shop, even when one of them was waiting outside. I mean, the shop operators was waiting outside. Then they beckoned on him, forced him, and they opened the door to the shop, and also ordered the staff to hand over several CD notes in their possession. It's actually they are the ones who provided the plastic bag. So they actually came prepared, knowing very well what they wanted, and they hit at their target.
So tell me now, as you wrap up, does do the residents feel relieved seeing these footages and the work that the police in the region says it has done in arresting at least some of these robbers. Does it give them any relief?
It does. Just yesterday, I spoke to a few people, and their response was that, yes, the police are, in the region have done so well in arresting these two people, but just that they were concerned with the fact that the police kept this information to their chest without letting them know what was actually happening. And then the CCTV footage, it actually went viral because the owner of the business thought that the only opportunity for him at that time to help police with investigations was the footage from the CCTV.
Right.
So this footage has been in the system for some time now. Immediately after the incident on April 21, so a lot of people who have actually seen the video were of the view that indeed Kumasi was not secure. But once police have managed to arrest some suspects, now they are more relieved than they were before. But don't forget, just Monday dawn, another shooting incident did occur, and this has actually some sort of broken the back of the camel. People still think that, yes, police have a long way to go as far as their security is concerned. But police also asking the public to also assist by being conscious of their own personal security, because we can't have crime-free society.
Ohimi, thank you very much for that update. Ohimi Terry, as a member of the security desk away from Ashanti region, I want to take you to the Upper East region, where the Regional Security Council says it has put all border security on high alert. And this follows a police wireless message indicating possible attacks on Ghanaian communities in that region and other parts of northern Ghana by Burkinabe bandits. The wireless message indicates that the bandits are suspected to be in possession of military weapons and may have already infiltrated some yet to be identified areas and planning attacks. Upper East Regional Minister Stephen Yakubu has been speaking to us, but we'll be talking to Albert Sori shortly about whether or not the people in the region are responding, or how they are responding to the sort of response we have from the minister, which is who leads the Regional Security Council. But listen to the minister first, and then I'll talk to Albert afterwards.
This threat has always been something that we are very carefully looking at because of the threats or what happened in neighboring countries, and we are always on high alert because we are basically at the border areas. So it's not something new. It's just that the intelligence that we are getting, as you have indicated, is making us really being very high alert on these issues. But there are issues that as Upper Easterners, we are always careful, and we are always on high alert, just to make sure that nothing comes through our borders. These are, security issues, and I don't think that I want to discuss them on phone with you. All what I can tell you is that we are on very high alert, and as I've told you, we are always on high alert because of what is happening in Burkina Faso, as you just mentioned. But I'm not ready to discuss any details of security with you, because that in itself is also a threat to the region.
What does this mean for the we are on high alert? What does it mean for the residents?
So what we are telling our citizens of the region is to be very aware of anyone that comes in. If there's a family member who is coming in that we know, yes, we know what he's coming to do. But if there's any other visitor that is coming in that we don't know, then we have to report this person to the security services so that we are aware of the person in the country, and then monitor the person's movement, and then to see whether the person is a threat to the country or not. So we have employed all our citizens to be very, very vigilant. Anybody who is coming to stay in the region, either in a hotel or with friends, we have to monitor them and see exactly what they're doing. And I'm through this your medium asking all our Upper Easterners to be very careful and to report such cases to the security agencies.
And that's Stephen Yakubu, the Upper East Regional Minister, speaking to my colleague Daniel Dadzi. Let's connect with Albert Sori. What do people make of what is happening in their community? Hello, Albert.
Hello, Gifty.
Albert, it's good to have you. Let's begin with what people are saying about this imminent security threat. How do people feel about it?
Okay, so one of the things you notice when you talk to people after this news broke is that one, they are concerned, and two, you also get the impression that they are alert. Let me take you back to a few weeks ago when police in the Upper East region arrested some 400 and about 400 Burkinabes and Nigerians who they said had come into the country apparently because they were working with a company that brought them in. One of the things that led to the arrest of these people was because residents who noticed how they were coming into the areas and renting rooms. For instance, one of them would come and rent a room, and then before you realize there's about 10 of them living in the room. It was because they noticed this that they started raising concerns and reporting to the police, which eventually led to the arrest of these people. So you get the same sense of alertness when you talk to people, especially in the border areas. Also, there's a bit of fear as well.
Fear, you say, and the residents are concerned, but they are also on high alert, just like the Regional Security Council tells us they are. What do the people expect of the security agencies in the midst of this?
Yeah, so one, they expect presence. You know, in the border areas, normally when you are coming in through the official border, then you will have the security people who will check to make sure that you are not coming in to cause any problems. But then there are also the unapproved routes where people can easily come in. Mention can be made of places like the Fulmakum areas and then places around Fio in the Bogo district, and even in some parts of Paga as well. So the expectation that most people in these areas have is that they expect the security to have patrols as well. Because as residents, for instance, if they notice any suspicious people, they do not have the capacity to arrest these people. So they expect that at least the patrols will also be increased around the borders as well. One of the things I noticed in Nankana West District, where you have the Paga border, for instance, is that during the COVID days, the Municipal Security Council set up some task forces, which were made up of mainly residents who had motorbikes, who were asked to patrol sometimes and be alert if they noticed that people were crossing the border, and to alert security agencies. It is one of the systems that are still in place in that area that I can speak of. But the expectation from the general public is that there should be more of the uniformed, state security personnel who should be patrolling more often to help if people have, when they notice that there are some suspicious people and they would like to report.
Because even if you realize that somebody is suspicious and you want to report, there has to be the presence of the security to report to. Albert, yes. Let's wrap up with what, and I'm assuming that they have heard about the measures being put in place by the Regional Security Council, as we heard from the regional minister, who says that they've put security on the border, our borders with Burkina Faso on high alert. I'm assuming that the people have heard this. How do they respond to this? Do they have faith in these words?
Yes, I think that the recent arrest of these Nigerians sort of gave people the confidence that the police would act if they noticed these people. I was one of the persons who got a lot of phone calls from concerned people when they noticed that people from Nigeria and Burkina Faso were coming into Boga municipality and they were renting rooms and living with other people who they felt were suspicious. And so when the police acted, it gave people confidence. So based on that, I believe that if, when people notice, they will report. But one thing I can also say about the police is that for now, for reasons of protocol, they have decided not to comment on this wireless communication for now. This morning, I was talking to the Upper East Regional police PRO, and he says that yes, they are aware of the wireless communication and they are acting because one of the things that police commands were advised to do was to take steps based on this information, but he wouldn't give any further details, obviously, because for them these are matters of security that they cannot always divulge on the public domain.
As long as people have enough confidence to partner with the security agencies to actually get the work done and to get the security and to get the area secured is what we're looking forward to. Albert, thank you very much for this update, and hopefully we'll be hearing from the people themselves very soon. Albert Story is our Upper East Regional Correspondent, bringing us up to speed on what is happening there. Now, we're told that the Regional Security Council is increasing security presence there, but the people also want more patrols. They are concerned. Even though they are alert, they want the presence of the security agency so that if they need to report, they will. Let's wrap up on the security stories that we brought to you. In fact, we've been in Accra, we've gone to the Ashanti region, and we've gone to the Upper East region. We want to wrap up with the situation, one of the key situations that has created this big concern or this big conversation about security. That is the robbery that happened just about 2 days ago, in which one police officer was killed and another civilian as well killed. Well, the Ghana Police Service has placed a bounty of 20,000 cedis on the gunman who shot to death that police officer and the eyewitness during the Bullion Van robbery incident. The Director of Public Affairs with the Police, Superintendent Sheila Kesiabeye Buckman, says the identity of those who provide this information will be strictly protected.
Police continue to encourage the public to be on the lookout for the perpetrators of the heinous crime that occurred at Jamestown, Accra. The Inspector General of Police has announced a reward of 20,000 Ghana cedis to any person who gives credible information to police for the arrest of the perpetrators. And in this regard, we assure informants of the utmost protection of their identities.
Director of Public Affairs with the Police Superintendent Sheila Kesiabeye Buckman there. If you know anything, if you see anything, if you've heard anything, talk to the police. That way we can protect each other and we will be on top of our game and we will feel good in this country as well. You're watching The Pulse with me, Gifty and up here. I want to take a very quick break. When we return, we'll be taking you also to the Western region, tell you what's been happening there. Some demonstration ongoing at one of the mining companies, and they're asking for the ownership, identity of the ownership of the mines, which was sold a couple months back. We'll also tell you the exciting news about Clean Ghana campaign, which is back with a bang, if I could put it that way. We want to keep Accra clean. We'll tell you all about it right after this. Do stay with us. You're welcome back and many thanks for staying with us. Now I'll take you to the Western region. Over 700 mine workers at Future Global Resources, formerly Golden Star Mining at Prestia in the Western region, are demonstrating in demand to know who the actual owners of the mining or the actual new owners of the mining firm are, since it was sold out last year by Golden Star Resources. Senior Staff Union Secretary Samuel Kumi Menu, who has been speaking to JoyNews, says they're not going to work until they receive the answers they're demanding from management of the firm. And Natalia Kwanzaa is joining me via Zoom. But first, let's hear from one of the employees.
Workers of Bogotu Prestia Mines, which was originally owned by GSR. As it is of public record, last year, 1st October 2020, the mine was sold to FGR, that's Future Global Resources. As we speak now, we can't find the leadership of Future Global Resources. We don't know where Glenn Baldwin, who is the CEO of Future Global Resources, is. Along the line, we have received memos from a company known as Blue International Group, who claim to be the ultimate beneficial owner of the mine. Now, we are confused as employees. We don't know who really owns the mine, who actually bought the mine from GSR. So one of the reasons we are demonstrating this morning is to find from leadership who actually owns this mine? Is it GSR? Is it FGR? Or it is Blue Holdings? It is one of the reasons why we are demonstrating. Secondly, we also want to know how much, in terms of investment, that the new owner is actually investing in the company, because 9 months along the line, we have not seen any form of investment in the company, and we see the company fortunes dwindling day by day. Our productions are going down. So we want to know how much in terms of investment the ownership of the mine is really putting into the company, so that the company will become a viable one. Because as concerned employees of the mine, we don't want the company to collapse in our hands.
As the Senior Staff Association's secretary there, Ina is joining me. Ina. Hello, Ina. Ina,
hello, Gifty.
Give us a background to this particular story. They talk about GSR and the sale of the company subsequently. Put it all together for us briefly.
Okay, Gifty. So we would all recall that in October 1st last year, that is 2021, Golden Star Resources sold its Bogoso mine to Future Global Resources. So from last year, they have been the owners of the mine per records. And then we understand from last year that the employees and everyone was, they sold the company plus its employees with it. So the employees did not have opportunity to sit down with this Future Global Resources and then sort of have tete-a-tete with them and agree on whether their payment plan and all that. So that is how the process has been. So from Golden Star Resources in October 1st last year to Future Global Resources. But while we heard from the union secretary there that they've been kind of confused because another company, which is Blue International, is claiming that they are the beneficiaries of the company. The union members who spoke to me told me that now they do not know the actual owners of the former Golden Star Resources, now Future Global Resources. So this is the issue at hand.
So from the pictures and the videos we are seeing, it looks like today there was no work at all.
No work at all, Gifty. As at 2 p.m. when I spoke to them on phone, they said they were still demonstrating and then they are not going back to work until they receive the answers they want. They want to know who are the actual owners. Though publicly, we all heard that it was sold from Golden Star Resources to Future Global Company. They feel that with the memo they have received from Blue International, they need explanation as workers because they are stakeholders of the company. So they are not working from today till they get the appropriate answers they need.
Just a quick one before you go. Do we know how long this protest has been going on, or did they just start today?
They started today, though over the months you hear them say, oh, they are going to do demonstration. I mean, you hear we are going to demonstrate, but today they started officially.
Thank you very much. Natalia Kwanzaa is our correspondent in the Western region, bringing us up to speed on what's happening there. So we want to hear from the leadership of the organization and get the answers that the staff, agitating staff are seeking. I have David Johnson joining us via Zoom. Hello, David.
Can you hear me?
Hi, David, I can hear you. David, I assume you're the corporate affairs manager.
I am, that's correct.
Yes. Okay, so David, let's begin with your initial response to what is happening on your mine site right now.
Well, I'm in Accra and I've been getting updates from time to time from the site. My understanding is that the general manager of the mine has spoken to the workers at the Bogoso site. And currently speaking to, well, we actually have two sites. We have the Bogoso and the Pristia. And have spoken to the workers at the Bogoso site. My understanding is that, you know, they've gotten an understanding of issues. And he's currently in a meeting with those at the Pristia site. The general manager actually met with the leadership of the union on Monday. And some of these issues came up. And he provided explanations. So it was a bit surprising that, you know, the workers, as it were, laid down their tools this morning. And so when the general manager engaged them, their response was that they were not satisfied with the responses that their leaders brought. So we were not too sure whether it was an issue of miscommunication between the leadership and the entire unionized workforce, or there was something else. So one of the suggestions was that if the leaders were not providing the feedback to them, maybe they should consider either broadening the leadership so that the information will be able to flow much more effectively. But
let me just break down the concerns that they have raised and see if you can help us. And I'm certain that they're probably monitoring this conversation if that gives them the release that they're seeking. So right now, how do we call this the company? Is it Future Global?
The general manager has spoken to them.
Right.
If it has to do with the workers, the general manager has spoken to them.
Very well. But how do we refer to this organization? Is it Future Global because they're talking about another blue international group that's coming up? So what's the ownership? What's the clear up the issue about the ownership for us?
Well, FGR Bogosu Prestia Limited is the legal name for the entity that took over from Golden Star Resources.
Okay.
Now, FGR Bogosu Prestia Limited is owned by Blue International. So that's how Blue International comes into the conversation.
Okay. And so where from this Blue International group?
Well, it's actually Blue International Holdings. So you would say Blue International Holdings or Blue International Group because the company actually has other other projects in other countries, in Sierra Leone, for example. And so that's why it's a group. And then the mining arm of it is FGR Bogosu Prestia in Ghana.
Okay. Okay.
Blue International Holdings, Blue International Group is the same.
Okay. One of the concerns that they've raised is that the company is just about 11 months old. They're concerned that the company has not made any investment into the company right now. And as workers, they are concerned about the future with this organization and they want to protect that future. They're saying there has been absolutely no investment and that the company that has taken over could easily liquidate their shares and bring back debt to the Ghanaian government.
Well, that will not be the case. We need to understand that when you purchase an asset, it takes a while to actually, understand the operations of the assets, how efficient, the operations are. You don't go from day one, pumping money into it. You want to be sure that, the money is not going into a sinking hole. So it's important that you spend some time to look at operational efficiencies before you make any, investment, because you also want to protect the investment that you're making. And you want to be sure that if there are any, holes, those holes are blocked and ensure that you have operational efficiency. So that's the process in which we are at this stage.
Regarding investment, they are talking about how their production is going down. Could you give us figures to discount this claim that production keeps going down at the mine?
I would not be able to give you exact figures. If I knew these were coming up, I probably would have gotten some from site. But what it is that you need to be sure. I mean, when the company took over, one of the things that it did was to change the mining method. And that is one of several changes that need to take place before you can actually make the investment that is required. Fact of the matter is that the company has been making losses for the past 3 or so years. So it's nothing new. The fact that it's not doing great is nothing new. What it is that a decision has been made to transform the company. And to be able to do that, we need to make sure that the mining method is correct, that operational efficiency has been secured, before you go ahead and make the investment. And once you make the investment, obviously, you're going to get increased production, and going forward, you'll be able to break even and make profit. But it's important that that first phase is done and is done right.
Out of curiosity, why does a company that's made losses for the past 2 or 3 years, get acquired by another organization? It obviously means that the company is willing to put in more money, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the issue of putting in more money is not in question. The question, I believe, is when do you put in the money? Do you put in the money when you haven't convinced yourself that you have an efficient operation, or you put in money from day one, not being sure, where that money is going. Okay. And so, yeah, putting in money is critical, but it's also important for the investors to have the comfort that this money is actually going to go into the operations and will turn it around.
You talked about transformation or transforming the company after the FGR took over. Does transformation mean, by any chance, laying off of workers?
No, not at all. So part of the deal was that no person will lose, their job as a result of the takeover.
Will they have to reapply, or it's just straightforward? It's just the company has been bought, but you're part of the team. We just move on.
We just move on, yes.
Do they have this understanding, the workers?
I believe they did, yes.
Right. Well, I will just leave it here for now, Mr. David Johnson. Thank you very much. I believe I had another question, which is just lost out on me at the moment. But as you said, the general manager is engaging these agitating workers. Now that they didn't work today, and we're told that they will not work subsequently until their concerns, the questions that they have are answered. Are you hopeful that they'll be working tomorrow?
Yes, I do believe they will work tomorrow. I do believe they will get all the answers that they require. And it's unfortunate that it's come to this point, because a lot of the questions were actually answered on Monday when the general manager met with the leadership of the union. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir, for your time this afternoon and for explaining the issues for us. David Johnson is Corporate Affairs Manager with FGR, that's Future Global Resources, which took over the Bogoso Prestia Limited and also Golden Star. Well, the staff have been agitating. We'll see how it ends up tomorrow. As Mr. Johnson says, they're hopeful they will be working tomorrow. Let's talk about Cleaning Ghana. About a year after its suspension due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Clean Ghana campaign has taken off again. The campaign, a brainchild of JoyNews, executed in partnership with the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, is to educate the public and enforce sanitation bylaws within the city. According to Director of Public Health at the AMA, Florence Kuchi, the first phase of the campaign raked in significant improvement in adherence to sanitation standards, especially in the markets. Manuel Kranting has been on the story for us.
The idea was to educate citizens and make them take responsibility for their actions so as to attain clean and healthy environment. Clean Ghana campaign is a collaborated initiative between Accra Metropolitan Assembly and multimedia. The program actually opened the eyes of public and brought a great change towards sanitation and health promotion. However, with the concept of COVID-19 pandemic, the program was brought to a halt. It came to light that Clean Ghana was one of the most patronized on news, which manifests itself by the general public calling for the reintroduction of the program. And today, in the quest of achieving our objective, we have come into full operation. Areas that were mostly dense with waste were cleaner than before. Drains filled with soot and waste were transformed to free-flowing drains. Food vendors made the effort to keep food clean, and areas where they prepare food were kept clean. Some of the major markets in the metropolis will testify to the usefulness of the program to them. For instance, the Agbogbloshi market, the usual Ratus, Makwala market, Kaneshi market, and others. We are therefore asking the general public to cooperate with us and give us their support to seeing the program achieving its objective.
We'll bring you more of the Clean Ghana campaign and also tell you what the Energy Ministry is proposing as far as vehicles, whether it should be electronic vehicles or not, when we return from this break. You're welcome back. We'll bring you more of the Clean Ghana campaign. But Defense Minister Dominic Nitiwul has justified government's decision to hire a private aircraft for the president's foreign trips. He says although the presidential jet, the Falcon 900X EasyJet, is airworthy, it is not good enough for long trips. He's been responding to questions on the floor of Parliament. I'll be talking to Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, by the way, but let's hear the minister first.
Offers the Minister of Defense, particularly the Ghana Air Force, an opportunity to explain matters related to Falcon 900EX Easy with registration number 9G-EXE and its airworthiness. First of all, Mr. Speaker, many Ghanaians wrongly believe that the VVIP jet Falcon 900EX Easy is the property of the presidency. Let me explain today, for the benefit of the people of Ghana, that the VVIP jet is the property of Ghana, but held in trust by the Ghana Air Force. And any time the president or any other VIP intends to use it, the Chief of Staff at the presidency has to write to the Minister for Defense to seek permission to use it. Mr. Speaker, the Ghana Air Force has for a long time had asked for the re-equipping of the communications squadron to enable them perform their functions effectively. President John Ajekun Kufuor heard this plea and decided to acquire for the Ghana Air Force a Boeing business jet, which is a BBJ, and I will continue to refer to it as, and a Falcon 900EX EasyJet, though he knew at that time that he would not use them during his time as president. Mr. Speaker, the BBJ could carry over 100 passengers and about 40 passengers on VVIP settings. And it was intended for long-haul journeys and also to act as a spare lift. The Falcon 900EX EasyJet, which has a maximum of 11 passengers minus the crew, was to serve as a backup to the BBJ and also to serve shorter routes. But for some strange reasons, Mr. Speaker, the BBJ order was cancelled by the new government in 2009. The Falcon 900 EasyJet was the only aircraft that was delivered in 2010. The current Falcon 900, though serviceable, lacks enough range to reach long-haul destinations without refueling stops. The Falcon 900 jet will technically stop at airports where the president does not intend to do a stopover, and this could lead to unnecessary delays and placing a burden on unintended host to offer diplomatic courtesies that they would not ordinarily be prepared for. Typically, a normal refueling stop takes about 1 hour, but in this stop, refueling may take about 2 hours or more because the passengers have to disembark and or the host country security has to enter the aircraft to inspect. The era of COVID-19 and its associated protocols, including distancing, has further brought to bear the inadequacies of our current aircraft fleet. Mr. Speaker, we must remember that ideally, a president must travel with his office. That is staffers who will be around him in order for the president to be able to do his work efficiently and effectively, even without wars abroad. As it stands, Mr. Speaker, it is important that he travels with his security as well as his presidential press corps when necessary. Currently, when the president uses the Falcon 900 EasyJet, most of these other necessary staffers travel commercial would increase costs as well as suffering attendant delays in transit because of the lack of direct flights to ultimate destinations.
Defense Minister Dominic Nitiwul there explaining why the president went on that particular visit with a hired private jet. And Joseph Opoku-Gakpo is standing by because the ranking member on Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee, Samuel Okujetua-Blakwa, says that the responses from the defense minister were unsatisfactory. He is insisting that the presidential jet could have done the trips. So, Joseph, the defense minister lists a number of things, including unnecessary delays and unnecessary inspections, as well as, convenience for the president to be able to do his work. Apart from insisting that the presidential jet could have done the trips, what more information does the ranking member on the committee, Okujetua-Blakwa, give to back his position?
Yes, good afternoon to you. So, he, for example, makes a point that when you look at the Falcon jet in question, when Parliament approved the deal that allowed for its purchase back in the late 2000s, he quoted the Hangard of Parliament, in which there were details to the effect that this was actually an aircraft that could fly very long distances and go all the way to Asia and Europe and other parts of the world without having any difficulty. So essentially, he's been disputing the claim by the Minister for Defense that when it comes to long-distance trips, there was a little difficulty getting this aircraft to do. In fact, when the Defense Minister gave the history of this particular aircraft, he said that in 2009, when the then Kufuor administration was exiting power, they had planned to purchase 2 different aircraft. There was one of them that could take up 140 people, and the second one that would then take the 11 people minus the crew. But when the NDC administration took over in 2009, they canceled the contract to allow for the purchase of the bigger one and only went ahead to purchase the smaller one. And the defense minister then makes the point that it's virtually part of the difficulty they are facing now, because then when the president is doing a trip and has to go with a huge delegation of business people, media people and all, then that aircraft is unable to take that number. And then he went on to then make the point about even the flight traveling long distance. But Mr. Blakwa insists that this is a flight that, as the Minister for Defense confirmed, is in good condition as the presidential aircraft. The history shows that it's capable of doing long distance trips without any difficulty. And he was very much worried about the point that Mr. Nitiwul made, that sometimes when the president has to go into a meeting, he probably needs to be the situation where he could shower in his flight, and once gets off, then he quickly jumps into his meeting. And Mr. Nitiwul made the point that the president can't even shower in this presidential jet, the Falcon. And Mr. Blakwa then responds to that and makes the case that even when you use third class in flights like Emirates, it's possible to shower. So that shouldn't necessarily be a hindrance to using other flights apart from having to go hire a new one. Those are some of the rebuttals that Mr. Blackwell has actually been giving, and insisting that he still thinks that even when it comes to the hiring of jets, the 15,000 euro per hour one that the government went for is very much on the high side.
Okay.
He says it's the most luxurious flight, it's the most luxurious jet you find on the market.
So Joseph, Joseph, sorry to interrupt you, but is he talking about taking any further actions? I mean, he has insisted on bringing the minister in to answer the questions that he has. Briefly for us, is he going to take any further steps now that the minister has come to answer the questions and explain why that was necessary?
The finance minister is as well expected tomorrow to respond to further questions on the issue.
Okay. Well, Joseph, let's leave it here for now. We get more, I'm sure, in the subsequent bulletins. Joy Prime to begin with. Joseph Opoku Gakpo, the Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, bringing us up to speed. I want to take you back to Cleaning Ghana. Manuel Kranting, like I said, has been out and about today as we begin to revamp the campaign, which, of course, had to be allowed to sleep for a while at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. Take a look at what Manuel has put together.
The team took off from the old office of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, and then the first stop has been the timber market within the Amamumu electoral area, of course, of the Ododo constituency.
Sir Director, good morning. Morning, sir. You know why we are here. We are coming from AMA, Environmental Health and Sanitation. Our presence here is to help you live in a safe and clean environment. So this is an open drain where government have constructed for all of you. The drain, the purpose of the drain was to carry wastewater away in case it rains. So we've gotten here, we've seen that the whole drain is stuffed with plastic and wood items, which you people are into that business here.
This is not our problem. It came from the top when the rain falls. So Saturday, we started cleaning this gutter far from the lagoon. The assemblyman brought us a big container. It was full. Go and see. The rubbish is over there still. The second bag that should have been collected is there.
You people came together yourselves?
We gathered ourselves. All of us here.
With the assemblyman.
This man, I, and assemblyman, they took that container away, promising us they will bring another container for us to put in the one over there. Right now, when we put this thing down, even the one we started over there has not been completed. So when we bring this thing out, it will get dry, go back into the drain again.
The work they said they've done there was the initiative taken by the assembly member, which was very good. They were supposed to continue to follow up with the assemblyman to have come and return with the container for the waste to be collected, then they come and continue with this place. For now, they said they have made efforts. The assemblyman said he is coming to continue with it. But we are saying that our presence here, they said they are prepared. We are putting them into the drain. They should be silted. We will arrange for a container to come and clear the weight, clear what is left there, and then we'll see that the job is done to the
immediately.
Immediately. So we are organizing them to clean the drain.
You see wood here. This is where they are burning refuse. And you see the plastics there. Before you realize, the wind can blow some fire into this wood and the place will start burning. Then they'll start shouting for help. And we need help. We've done that. We are always the cause of most of the fire outbreak that happen. You can see all this place is built by what? Wood.
And there is no any access route here. So in the event of any fire outbreak here, what do you think the whole community will get back?
Inti inraya egu seyi a wo ye adwane wo hai eye. Inti adenti na etisa. Ye adwane nyina e de amam enwase na aduane aka no. Boys no be say aduane ni nyina ye be sizi aduane no ye ma won ton say aduane we emfa ma amamfo mo mu de wote. Ni etoso so ye be ma asamankrata. Na ye do bibia nim.
The officials from the Accra Metropolitan Assembly are now taking charge of the food which has been exposed to flies without covering, and there's been a directive for all food vendors to get tested for hepatitis B and other infections. Well, a request was made of her to produce her documents of having taken that particular health examination, which she has failed to show.
What we have done is the food she is selling to the people has been exposed to flies. You can see the environment in which she's selling the food. It is unhygienic, and you could see that the food was just exposed to dust and to flies. So we've taken the food. We asked her of her medical certificate. She has got no medical certificate. So we are taking action against her, and it will be followed up with a court summons to set her as a deterrent to others who are doing same thing. This is just the beginning in this place. She's not a first-time offender. They are aware. Officers have been going around always. And if you ask her, officers have been here more than 3-4 times. And all they put deaf ears to it. That is why today, as we have come, we are here to ensure a clean environment and a hygienic state of environment that can enhance health. So we wouldn't allow her to sell food for the public and make a profit at the expense of the health of the person patronizing the food.
We're currently in an Islamic school that is within this predominantly wooden structured community. And Mr. Asetanga, who is the environmental officer of the AMA, and then of course Madam Florence Kuchi, who is head of public health at the AMA, have been issuing some pretty stern directives to the caterers and some of the other vendors.
We've seen that they are not complying to the COVID-19 protocols. None of them here is wearing a mask. And
no, now we come to mosque, so that's
no, the women cooking here, none of them. Even when you are coming to mosque, you are supposed to wear masks. After you perform your ablution, you have the mask in your pocket. You are supposed to put the mask on. So please, we are entreating all of them to go get their masks and wear it now before they come and start whatever they are doing. And we are not going to allow them here.
The matter you are talking is a very serious matter. The thing to you are talking, how government talk. We see everything be serious matter. So there is nothing I can say to against you. Yeah, you get my point.
You are going to comply?
Oh,
you are going to do what we ask you to do.
Yes, I will do. I will do anything the government say we will do. We'll do it.
So when they come back in about a week's time, everything will be okay over here.
We will come to visit for your office. Okay. Then we will talk together. You understand? You come today to your office for the AM for Timber Market. Okay. We will come there and talk with you how we will do.
So that you can resolve this. Thank you very much. So this man operates this particular eatery, and there's been, caution, a statement has been issued to them, and they are to report to the AMA office for further discussion.
Manuel Quanting with that report there. Well, look out for the AMA officials. They will be very close to you, so you better keep your environment clean. The Ministry of Energy is proposing that commercial vehicle owners invest in the use of electronic vehicles to save the environment and also reduce cost on crude products. Sector Minister Dr. Matthew Poku-Prempeh said this after test driving the first and fully electronic Kona E Hyundai presented to his ministry. Today, the vehicle, the first of its kind in Africa, has 3 charging levels. It gets fully charged in 31 hours, which will give you a capacity of 3.2 kilowatts per hour. Dr. Poku-Prempeh was hopeful of gains that the country will benefit if industries and ministries begin the use of the energy-efficient vehicles. We'll soon hear from him, the minister, shortly. But first, Hannah Odami gives us a little tour inside the car.
Fully electric. It is not even a hybrid. Fully electric. It is running on 96 batteries. 96 batteries are connected to it, and according to the country director of Hyundai, he says pickup is very fast. As we saw the minister drive, there's no need to accelerate, and there are 3 levels of charges for this electric device. The first one is a mobile charger, and you can charge that for up to 31 hours. After that, you have a capacity of 3.2 kWh. Then we have the wall mount charger that is 7.5 kilowatts per hour with a capacity of 8 to 9 hours. After that, it's fully charged. And you can use it for about a week around Accra, the national capital, if you're walking around the capital. that charging, which is the industrial charger, which would take 3 to 4 hours. And those are the ones that will be placed at malls and bus terminals and all of that. They are going to install chargers there so that once you're using this vehicle, when you get to any place where there's an industrial charger, you can easily charge. Now, we have been made to understand that it's not every time that you have to fully charge this vehicle. Once it's 50%, you can drive at least up to 100 kilometers and you are good to go. It's just like a mobile phone. You don't have to charge it to 100%. As you can see, the features in there it looks like every other vehicle that you drive. It has all the features, except this one is fully electronic, zero fuel cost. As you can see, maintenance and emissions, and this vehicle runs 100% on electricity.
And Odame, with that description there, let's hear from the Energy Minister now.
But one of the things that you know that these cars come with a duty of about 20%. There must be a policy to, and not only to encourage this, to make these cars affordable for the ordinary citizens. Maybe all commercial vehicles, taxis per se, should start going into electric vehicles to help really mitigate or let us achieve our climate change agenda. So we should be working in the Ministry of Energy with other ministries like transport, like finance, to ensure that not only does this car become a norm, the commercial vehicles start moving into the era of electronic vehicles.
Energy Minister Dr. Opoku Prempeh bringing us a wrap on that one. But some of the stories you should be expecting later today. The 2 boys accused of killing 11-year-old Ishmael Mensah for purposes suspected to be money rituals are to be officially charged with murder, according to a recommendation from the Attorney General's Department. More of that will be at myjoyonline.com. I'm not gone yet. We want to do sports after this. Do stay with us. And this is where I leave you, but we don't leave you like, just without nothing. We leave you with Let's Talk Showbiz, so you can have fun with it. But let me give you an idea. The story is on myjoyonline.com, so you can hop on and share. Nana Akufo-Addo can't even shower in presidential jets. That's Nitiwo defending President Akufo-Addo's alleged extravagant foreign travels, and the other stories there as well. So jump on the network, the online platform, myjoyonline.com. You get lots of the stories there, and there are handles through which you can share the stories with your contacts so they know what's going on. My name is Gifty Andropia. It's been a pleasure coming your way. I look forward to doing it again tomorrow. Let's do it.